What the?
Take the shot.
Did you see that? The bullets went right through it.
Did he miss?
McFadden doesn't miss.
So we're going to be talking about the made-for-Netflix movie Spectral. This one stars James Badge Dale and is directed by Nick Mathau. Now, this movie basically focuses on a character called Klein, played by James Badge Dale, and he's basically a very kind of high-tech engineer, and he's sort of called into by the military to an Eastern European kind of country that's kind of in the turmoils of civil war, and they've been using these kind of like these goggles that he's developed that pick up different kind of spectrums and the kind of on the visions and things like that. And these kind of goggles happen to pick up seemingly kind of ghostly images of these figures that have killed US soldiers and things like that. So he's sent over to tell him what it is, and we find out that is indeed a seemingly army of these kind of spectres basically that are going on the rampage and killing anyone who gets in their path. And basically what we have here is kind of a horror science fiction action film. It definitely reminds me of movies like Aliens and a little bit of Predator, but with a kind of more of a spectral twist basically. So I have to say I was massively impressed with the production side of this. This looks quite high budget, I have to say. Now, I don't know what the budget is, to be quite honest, but it looks, the production value here is particularly high, and I feel that's going to be the first thing that you're going to notice, the kind of the set design, all the kind of the tech that these people are using, the way the cameras work. It looks like a kind of like a fairly well budgeted movie, so that's going to be the first thing. So this is basically like a B movie that's had loads of money pumped into it. It's a real B-movie plot, and the kind of the way this story goes, it definitely reminds me of a video game, I have to say, where we have these kind of, you can only see these kind of spectres if you look through this particular camera, and they kind of almost look like radar images and things like that, sonar images. Definitely has a kind of video game feel, particularly at the end of the movie. So what did I like about it? Obviously, first, like I've just mentioned, the production value here is fantastic. It really does look like they sort of spent some money on here, including the kind of lots of kind of like fantastic, very decent looking locations, military hardware, things like that. Looks fantastic, and the camera work all looks like to be a high sort of quality standard, very kind of a cinematic feel to it. And I have to say, acting across the board, all good. I mean, there's some people here that generally will play military types. They play them on kind of a few different things, but they play them well. So they very good kind of portrayal, I think, of like almost like a modern warfare kind of Call of Duty, the slightly futuristic versions of those kind of the military that we might have in a few years' time. And I have to say, there's some fantastic action set pieces here. I mean, the action is so good in this film. It really is. This is really a very, very good action film. You know, I struggle to call it, really kind of define this movie in any one particular genre, because it kind of really is transcendent of so many genres. But I have to have some negatives here. There are some plot holes, and there are some sort of rules that they sort of set up and then kind of break. For example, or one of the, it makes this big thing of that you can only kind of see these spectres through this camera, and what Klein does is that's the main character. He makes it so it almost looks like a searchlight, so you can kind of shine it and it will show up these people. But they're running away from these spectres, and the light's clearly not shining on them, but you can still see them and things like that. So some of the rules that they set up in this film, they kind of disregard in favour of having kind of set pieces, whilst, you know, if you're shining this light, basically, it should flash really wherever these things are. So that was kind of a bit an example of a plot hole. But there's just a few little sort of plot holes that are just kind of like glossed over in favour of kind of moving the sort of the story forward, basically. And if I had to have some issues with the kind of the visuals, I would say sometimes the actual spectres themselves look not particularly fantastic in certain scenes. They are maybe a little bit, you know, computer graphics obvious, if that makes sense. They're not terrible. It's not like sci-fi movie sort of quality, but they are, you know, considering the kind of the money that's clearly been spent on other aspects of the film. I felt maybe a little bit more work could have been done on some of the sort of the graphics, but it's not bad. Don't get me wrong. But the one thing I would say as well, not kind of going into any spoilers, but the direction that this movie goes is somewhat unexpected. I have to say, it has a unique twist on where this kind of plot goes and what actually happens to it. I feel the end is a mixed bag. It's a very action-heavy ending to this film, and, you know, definitely reminds me of the movie Aliens. It's quite a lot of great action sequences, well-shot action sequences, but I feel it's a little convoluted. But overall, I really enjoyed this film. This is definitely worth watching. If you are a B-movie fan and you wish you could see like a high-budget B-movie, then this is the movie for you. Absolutely. Very exciting action film, very well made. A few minor niggles, but to be honest with you, they are only minor niggles. So I'm going to give this movie a 7.5 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.